Hello and welcome to Business Today Crest. We are here at the India Today conclave on the sidelines of that, and with me my colleague Sourav Majumdar, the editor of Business Today, India's oldest and finest business magazine. Between the two of us are two young generation businessmen. They are inheritors in the traditional sense, but are actually entrepreneurs in the real sense. They're going beyond what their family businesses have done and are working on creating new companies, scaling them up, creating jobs, creating wealth. And they are here with us to talk about things that are not just business. Shashwat Goenka, the Vice Chairman of RP-Sanjiv Goenka Group. Welcome, Shashwat. Thank you very much for your time. Keshav Reddy, founder of Equal, and viewers, those of you who might notice a likeness with a very famous, very tall entrepreneur who set up one of the best airports in India, airports in fact. You can read up about him. But Saurav, I'll request you to open the conversation with a question to both of them.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Siddharth, and welcome, Shashwat and Keshav. It's really a pleasure meeting you and you're being here with us. I'll lob the first question to you, Shashwat. I followed the group very carefully, and for a long period of time, it has a storied legacy. And but interestingly, of late, it is actually going into new territories, which are very exciting, which are also very different from the kind of brick and mortar kind of a story which used to be there at the group earlier. Now, tell us how, and you've just recently taken charge in a broader role as chairman of the group. What are your thoughts now as you lead RPSG into the next phase of growth?
So, for us, we've been a group that's grown through acquisitions and a group that's grown through evolving businesses significantly. And I think when I look at the next phase of growth, I think for us, that's going to come from moving a lot more into consumer businesses. So, whether it's direct B2C to the end consumer, or whether it is a B2B, which is a B2B2C. Right, and so whether you look at our foray into the FMCG space with brands like 2Yum, we've got two personal care brands, we've got an Ayurveda brand. Whether you look at our foray into sports, whether you look at the foray into media, into entertainment, or for that matter on the B2B2C side, our foray into say chemicals or looking at new energy now as a space. I think for me the focus is going to be how do we become consumer first, and how do we kind of leaders or be in that forefront in a way as India's consumer story unfolds.
Yeah, that's actually a very interesting point to make, because B2B and B2B2C. But even earlier, if you look at CESC, for instance, it was the most B2C you can get. And in a time when it was turbulent times that time in the state. But today CESC is a very very successful company. Is there a thinking that these are the kind of sectors, or are you looking at more interesting sectors which sort of attractive as the new India, the aspirational India comes into
So I think
effect?
For us, the new sectors are getting into say chemicals, for example, getting into IT-enabled services, for example, getting into FMCG, for example, getting into media, for example. These are all new sectors that didn't exist in the group 5 years ago.
I want to come in on the media part and try and keep this freewheeling. Why the media? Because, I was talking to a media senior executive just the other day, and he said, despite all the hard work that we do, we're still small cap. So is it for the influence, really? Is it an influence play?
No, I think as we are looking to get more consumer focused and consumer first, you kind of have to get into all elements of that. So when you put consumer in the center and look at a 360 view of everything that the consumer is consuming, right? It's not just a product, it's not just a service. There's a large part of media that the consumer is consuming as well.
Let's bring in Keshav into
I think he answered that perfectly. Couldn't be a better answer.
So I want to bring in Keshav. Saurav and I get, and this is the best part of our jobs, if the media is small cap, journalists are micro cap when it comes to the compensation. But what is great about this job is you get to meet great people, smart people, young people, business people, and you learn. And one of the things that I've realized talking to a lot of business family and second generation, many of them say, यार इंडिया में काम नहीं करना. At least this was 5-10 years back. बाहर करेंगे, कुछ digital करेंगे. ये कितना झंझट लें, dealing with government, dealing with regulation and all of that. Keshav, is that a sentiment that I'm not saying you have it now, but was that something that used to be at the back of your mind at some point in your career?
So I came into the business at a transition period. So when my grandfather started the business in the 80s and 70s, it was a very different world then, right? So we actually built India's first power plant, private power plant. We built India's first road plant. We built India's first private airport. We built India's first emergency management system. So I think as we've evolved, everything has changed. So today now we are leading in areas that we think have digital at the core of it. So we've actually evolved from a family business to a family office. And the construct in that is very important to understand, is that the business models are the same. But the software at the core of it means that you can grow really fast and you're at the cutting edge of technology. So I think what we're doing is...
offices mean that you don't get your hands dirty?
No, actually it's
like going to Jamnagar, setting up a plant. Like
no, it's inverse. It's absolute inverse. It is actually, it's a very flat organization. You get your hands dirty more. You don't have corporate structures. You partner with true entrepreneurs today, right? Even in Equal, I have a co-founder. In other businesses that we are setting up, which you will hear of in the next few years, we have partners who are first generation entrepreneurs who are building disruptive technologies. So the idea is to build in different spaces where we believe is the future where we want to be.
Keshav,
and I think that's the idea.
This is very interesting that you say this because again, somewhat like Shashwat, you have again a legacy. You are actually a part of a large group, and yet now you are an investor in your own right, and you've now set up Equal, which is also looks to be a very exciting initiative. How does it feel to make this transition, or is it a role where you wear both the roles and you do it? Seamlessly?
Superb question. I think it's a very difficult task, but you have to figure out what role you have in that company. So in Arigen Life Sciences, which is India's second largest CRO pharma service business, I'm a board member. We have Goldman in the business. It's a fairly large business. I play a very different hat. In GVK EMRI, which is India's largest ambulance service, actually the world's largest, I play the role of a family council member. Or in Equal, I play a founder role. So I play different hats. And in our family office investing arm, I play a very different role. So you play different roles, but I think over the next few years, you'll see us as enablers of new platforms. You will not see us as, our name also is changed. We used to have GVK on every business.
Right.
Today we've actually removed GVK Bio has become Arigen. GVK Informatics has become Accelera. Equal had a different name. So we're evolving to being a family office where we believe innovation has to drive investments in new businesses.
How did you think of 2Yum? Because it's a great brand according to... How did you come across this?
Thank you. So I think we're still in the process of building the brand.
Okay.
But I think for us, when we decided we wanted to get into the consumer space, we identified 3 clear verticals that we wanted to be in. So one was foods, and specifically in the snack space. Second was in the personal care space. And third was in health and wellness as a category. And I think we decided to go with food first because, one, it was something that was close to our hearts. Second, it was easier for us to do given our legacy in grocery retail. And so we understood the market better. And we wanted to do something a little bit different for India. And we felt it is a little bit of our responsibility as well to give consumers products that are better for them.
Okay.
Right, versus what's
and that's
already
why
available.
One of the prominent things on these packets, Sourav, you have noticed that is no palm oil.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Why that? Why sort of focus on that aspect?
So
and while you answer that, I'll try and open the other packets. So Sourav, please carry on.
So I think, when you look at snacking as a space, taste trumps health. There is nothing above taste when it comes to the consumer, right? Which is why the brand name 2Yum. And what we try to do is be very true to that brand name, where our products taste as good or better than what's available, but there needs to be something which is better for you in them, right? And initially when we started off the brand, each of the products had something else which was better for them. So each product had a unique better for you claim. And when we realized is there's something that needs to be running across the entire brand. And that's when we really thought that palm oil would be something that we should look at. Because while it is one of the cheapest oils that is being used in the food industry, and almost every brand today would be using palm oil because of the economic benefit of it. I think for us, we felt that is one thing that we should try and avoid, because the negative impacts on health, on long-term consumption, is pretty significant.
Right. Shashwat, let me also come to a very interesting business and passion which the group has, which is sports.
Yeah.
You know, you have the Lucknow Super Giants and you have Mohun Bagan.
Yeah.
So it couldn't be more appropriate for the location where you come from. The rivalry between Mohun Bagan and East Bengal is legendary. So how was the sports initiative conceptualized, and more importantly, what is the kind of business sort of feedback you're getting on this?
Sure. So I think all tying back to our looking at the consumer and consumer first, and sports is one of the biggest consumption occasions from a consumer standpoint, right? So Mohun Bagan was a no-brainer for us. I think the legacy of that club was centuries old, right? And then for us, it was to really come in and see how we can grow that. The IPL was something we had dabbled with for 2 years with the Pune franchise.
Pretty successfully.
Absolutely. I mean, the second year was great, right? Absolutely. And thereafter, we figured that's when we really, at that point, it was a little bit more of a passion. But I think when we were in it for those 2 years, we realized the immense business potential that sports has and that cricket has in India. Right, and that the IPL has to offer in India and for the world.
And ties in beautifully with the rest of your businesses and the consumer focus.
Absolutely, and I think that's really what pushed us to kind of get into this in a more serious manner.
Right.
Keshav, I want to come to that broader digital point that we tossed at you. Explain to our viewers what is this? What is the business that you're getting? Because as I understand, and pardon my ignorance in this regard, you tied up with Digilocker. Why would that be the case? Because we got the Digilocker, the person who runs it on our show, and I think it's a great, fantastic product. But what are you doing with them?
So what we're doing with the India stack, I'll take a step back. With the India stack is they have inaugurated
to the founder.
Absolutely. The India stack has built probably the greatest tech stack in the world. And they're enablers of a lot of this. They are unifiers of a lot of what we do today in payments, identity, commerce, all aspects of it. There are a lot of opportunities for businesses to connect them where consumers can consume it. Very similar to what Shashwat said. So we are actually enabling identity. An identity of somebody's life is all aspects, right? So we are trying to enable it when you go to a store, when you're checking into a place, when you're traveling, when you're, wherever you need to share some documents for some value. And, for not making it very boring, there are a lot of issues in identity where, people don't get access to credit. They don't get access to places to stay. So we're enabling a lot of deep-rooted India 1, India 2, India 3 problem statements. So we're enabling an easy way for a consumer with consent to share at places.
And this is for
That's
profit,
it.
right? This is not...
That's right. It is a platform for profit. And our vision, though, is to power identity for 100 million Indians. So it will scale up to a platform where you'll be using it ubiquitously.
When you go overseas and mention numbers like 100 million, especially in the advanced economies, what's the reaction, honestly? They're like,
no,
excuse me.
Absolutely. I work with a lot of venture capitalists in the Bay Area, and they cannot fathom the numbers of either equal or in our portfolio companies. They just don't understand the scale of India. And that's the immense opportunity for India. That's...
Keshav, I want to take this discussion forward into one. Of course, you're building on something which is already very widely regarded, the digital stack. Tell me, wear your investor hat for a bit. You've had some good, experiences as an investor. What excites you now beyond Equal? Equal, of course, is your own venture. What are the areas which you look at as an investor? What next?
I think AI is a great space to look at. Obviously not on the LLM side, because those are going to be... tech is all about I know tech is it's a 001 category, right? There is a monopoly in every category in tech, right? So you have to build use cases for Bharat in that. And the scale of India in health, in travel, in financial services, that can only be solved with software. And so I think that is something I'm super excited about. We're building a lot of, or investing and building stuff in health, in financial services, in rural sort of commerce. There's a lot of opportunity. Today you go to Bharat, the way people spend there, and that aspect has changed significantly. Interestingly, the Lamborghini India CEO had come, a global CEO. And, they were presenting to him saying that actually the largest growth is coming from tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities.
And
Metros
I'm going
are
to try and
saturated.
say that when I meet them,
Correct.
one of the awards that they should give is to this government and in particular Nitin Gadkari, because you have roads where you can actually drive
That's right. Shashwat, tell me, I mean, in the whole new RPSG which is now being rolled out, what is the kind of business mix which eventually you see happening in terms of the business? And I'll come to the very other exciting business, which is music and Saregama, which was, now with digital delivery of music, it's just changed the game altogether for Saregama.
Absolutely.
So, first about Saregama and then the mix.
So I think for Saregama, I think it was historically again a legacy company
Yes,
which
yes.
had all the recordings of Indian music, etc. But I think what happened about 15 years ago is that distribution game
Yes,
changed, right? With
yes.
digital coming in, right?
Absolutely.
And I think for us, what was a success there was the Carva, right? Which kind of brought back.
Superb,
know-
innovation also.
Thank you. And so that was one of the things. But now when you really look at the group, I think at the cost of repetition, the whole idea is we want to be one of India's biggest consumer conglomerates and consumer in the 360 way, not just in the FMCG way, right? So I think you'll see all of the businesses pivoting towards that, and every new business we get into will be around that as well.
How large is the Indian consumption opportunity? Because, 25, 30 years back, a lot of foreign companies came, put in a lot of billions of dollars and then realized, oh, that consumer is not there. He mentioned 100 million. Give us a number.
Today we are a population of over 1 billion, and that is only growing. And that is the power of India and India's consumption story. And I think what happened is with international companies, when they came into India, I think they understood India. They didn't understand Bharat, which is what Keshav was talking about, right? And I think that's the strategic advantage or competitive advantage that Indian companies have, because they innately understand Bharat. And I think that
Chips
is
or namkeen or twisties? What sells the best?
So for us, I think all of them sell the best, but this is our lead product, the Bhoot chips.
Saurav, please try this. We're going to start with you on that.
Thank you.
And you have to have 2 at least. And we'll keep some fire. Should we get the fire brigade here? Keshav, is that like...
This is your most popular?
Yeah, fabulous.
Oh, wow.
No,
It's
but
one
fabulous,
of the
yeah?
most recent
Keshav, you
launches,
come from one of the...
and it's already become the lead SKU for us.
Oh, wow.
Wow, you come from that part of the country, your family, which is known for
Spicy food.
Spicy food, Sanga Reddy, Ranga Reddy, Telangana food. And when I was in Osmania in hostel, what you could afford, just some rice, and you would have some nice mango pickle and a bit of desi ghee on top of that, and that was
That's right.
regular. One quick point, and Saurav, this group has built what was more a museum at one point of time than an airport. So go back into your family memory and tell us, how did that thought process come that we're not just moving people from point A to point B, we want to make it an experience?
And and thank you for that recognition. I think it's very important to my father, my grandfather, that they're building monuments for modern India. That's how they think of it. And when they start off with Mumbai or Bangalore, and even Navi Mumbai, and I'll give you the idea, they take 15 years to actually plan for a city airport. So in Mumbai, the idea was, it is a city which has great potential. It is a very deep-rooted city with a modern outlook. So the idea was 1,000 peacocks in the sky. So when you walk into the actual, when you're checking in, it's actually 1,000 peacocks, replicative of that. And that's the idea. And so said, can we build the largest public art museum in the world there? And that's what it is. Jaya Hai program started off with that idea. In Bangalore, I'll add another point, where we exited the airport in 2019, but we actually built the entire terminal to design, planning. And the whole idea there was, it's actually Bangalore when my father was there, when he was there for his college years, it was a green city. It was known as the Garden City of India. And then it became known as the Tech City of India. So beautifully it's blended to become, I don't know if you've gone to Terminal 2
I
there.
noticed you said Garden City in the past tense. Was that deliberate?
Now it's a traffic jam city.
It is, unfortunately,
No, but that
no
Terminal
water
2
and
is...
traffic.
Have you gone?
Absolutely, it's fabulous.
What do you think of that?
No, it's amazing. And
Okay, one quick point, and sort of before we wrap up, one last one from me and then to you. You traveled the world. You had the benefit of your parents creating opportunities for you. And when you compare the response to India 15 years, 20 years ago, or when you were college or traveling overseas versus now, tell us what really is the difference in the response from people.
So I'll tell you my outlook on India and how that changed. So when I went to college, you know, I was a proud Indian. Yes, I was someone who kind of always felt that the India story is yet to unfold. It's going to get there. We're going to get there. We're going to win. But I think what changed when I came back from college, which was 2012, 2013, is we started seeing that happening on the ground, right? And you know, when you see it even from a consumer perspective, people are becoming wealthier. People are becoming or people want to spend that wealth and people want to consume more. And so we're moving into a virtuous cycle of growth, of consumption, and of entrepreneurship for that matter, because all of this feeds into that ecosystem virtuously.
Keshav, that same point to you. Your experience in this regard.
You know, I went for my undergrad and then I went for my grad. Right, so I could see a difference between the two, and I'll give you a very interesting analogy. When I was
when was that? If you could just
it was in 2010 to 2014 was my undergrad. I was in a Jewish fraternity, okay, and there nobody even knew three cities in India, right? And I have a very dear friend there who is a director in Hollywood actually, and then he called me last week or 2 weeks ago and said, "I'm coming to India and I'm coming to this small town where I need to go shoot something, and I'm bringing, by the way, this social influencer who has like 30 million followers in India." So he is asking me about cities and towns that I have no clue about. So it's just changed the landscape of how it is. I mean, he came for my wedding for the first time in 2017, but then now he talks about India every time we're there. So the world is looking at India, the world has changed, it's India's time, the stars have aligned.
And do note, viewers, that he wed in India. They beat the Prime Minister by many years.
So I just wanted to sort of end this by asking both of you, again, you've come from storied legacies, both of you, and now set out your own paths. How has the family, how have your parents, your father have helped you in terms of, and when do you go to him for advice, and how is the mentorship now working out?
I mean, honestly, I don't think I could have asked for anything better. You know, there is a lot of freedom given to us to be able to do what we'd like to do. And at the same time, there is a lot of guidance as well when you seek it. So there is a lot of independence and there is a lot of mentorship that you get along with it.
That itself is also a legacy.
Absolutely.
Which he got from his father, right?
Absolutely.
What about you?
No, sir. I think that's fabulously answered, Shashwat. It is exactly that. The world has changed. The older generation have changed in their thinking. Today, they look upon, seek advice from us and other aspects. So, you know, the new businesses today are going to be technology first, software first, and they acknowledge that younger people are playing larger roles in them. So I think it's a great time to be a young person who's building a company in India. So there's nothing better than that today.
That's a fantastic point to end this very sweet conversation. Viewers, we had namkeen. We had namkeen.
I also want to say that you said media companies are micro cap, right? But you guys have mega cap in influence. So.
And we have had bhoot chips, but what we haven't had, I had one, and I'm going to pass this around to end this conversation. No tea, coffee in this conversation. These are twisties. And as you have them, Shashwat, one very quick point. I've seen these YouTube videos, people take these twisties and put them on a candle and they say, देखिए ये प्लास्टिक का बना होता है, बिल्कुल जल जाता है. Is that true?
एकदम ही नहीं. आप डाल के देखो, आप जला के देखो.
So we should call it twisting with Siddharth.
Okay, viewers, Shashwat, Keshav represent the best and the brightest that India has to offer. There are hundreds and thousands of people like them. And what is most important, according to me, is that they, in turn, are responsible for lifting hundreds and thousands out of poverty, getting jobs, getting technology, getting innovation, and creating a more prosperous Bharat. And I think there's nothing more that is more important than this. We have tried 3 snacks, and I hope at the next edition of BT Crest, wherever that happens with them, we'll go far beyond that and some great Andhra, Telangana food.
Thank you.
As
You're far too kind with your words. But we are just enablers.
And just wanted to add, we have one Andhra-inspired flavor also called chili achari.
Okay, that's for next time. Sourav, Keshav, Shashwat, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so
See you soon.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much, guys.